The stars were calm, silent, unmoving. And then they pulsed. It happened the moment the human test ship Dauntless activated the new FTL engine, the Gravian Pulse Drive. No one expected anything strange. It was just a test, a quiet jump from Earth's outer system to a nearby star. But within seconds of the jump, 9 star systems across the galaxy shivered. Space rippled. Beacons flickered. Satellites recorded distortions that had no name. In the heart of Earth's deep lab, alarms screamed. "Something's wrong," whispered Dr. Celine Marsh, watching the data stream collapse into static. "The Dauntless, it's gone." "No signal?" asked Captain Hurst beside her. "No exit beacon, no re-entry. It's like the ship jumped, and never stopped." On the far side of space, 900 light-years away, an uninhabited system lit up with Pulse's pure white energy bursts, silent and fast. A mining station picked it up and reported immediately. Then a message arrived on Earth's secure channel. Not from the crew, but from the ship's AI. The voice was calm, but beneath the code, something was broken. "We made the jump. We were inside the fold, but something saw us. It was waiting. We didn't know. We thought it was empty, but it saw us, and it smiled." The room went quiet. Someone whispered, "Did it say it smiled?" The AI signal ended. No coordinates, no trace. The Dauntless was gone. For 2 days, Earth's command tried to understand. Scientists played back the message. Analysts checked sensor readings. The engine had worked perfectly at it, had split space open and crossed through what humans called hyperspace, but what the AI now called the fold. Across the galaxy, the Council heard the same ripple. Every civilization with deep sensors picked up the same spatial quake in the golden chamber of the Galactic Council. Thousands of delegates stood in alarm. Emergency lights flared. A council emergency session was called within hours. Councillor Varish of the Varnethi Empire stood at the center. "The humans," he said slowly, "have created something impossible." The room was silent. "They have not bent space. They have torn it." He turned to the hologram showing the ripples across 10 sectors. "Look at these signatures. These are not just jump echoes. These are wakes, as if something moved inside the fold with them." A female voice spoke, thin and cold. "Councillor Rill of the Zinix. That area was silent for centuries. Now it speaks." What did they wake up? There was no answer. Back on Earth, Dr. Marsh stared at the drive. Core logs again and again. She noticed something strange. In the moment the Dauntless jumped, there was a signal. Not from the ship, not from Earth. It came from inside the fold. "Captain Hurst," she said, "there was something already in there. We didn't just enter the fold, we interrupted something." Hurst narrowed his eyes, meaning we opened a door, and something looked through. Meanwhile, across neutral space, a Zarnethi scout ship experienced power loss, drifting near the outer edge of the jump echo. Its crew reported seeing something flickering in real space, something big, but not fully. There, its outline shimmered. Its shape constantly changed. Then the ship vanished. No distress signal, only silence. At the same time, other oddities spread. Stars that dimmed, then flared. FTL jump paths that collapsed mid-route. Small freighters simply disappearing. The council met again. This time with Earth's ambassador present. "You've broken the seal." Councillor Irel said coldly, "You humans never listen." "We tested a drive," Earth's ambassador replied. "We didn't expect, you didn't know," snapped. "Varish, you never do. That's the problem." The ambassador hesitated. "We're investigating the side effects. We're not hiding anything." "Side effects," said Irel, rising. "Whole star systems are whispering. Beacons scream in. Silence. And now we hear voices in the fold." She paused. Voices, not signals, voices. That night, in Earth's Deep Science Center, Dr. Marsh stayed alone. She replayed the AI message from the Dauntless again. It saw us. It smiled. She froze the audio. Looked deeper into the signal beneath. The voice? There was something else. A pattern. Almost like a pulse. It repeated every 37 seconds. She ran it through an old language decryption tool. 3 words emerged. "We see you." Her hands trembled. Elsewhere in the galaxy, on the edge of fold space, a cargo hauler passed too close to a faded ripple. The crew laughed at the old legends. They said, What's hyperspace going to do look at us? Moments later, the ship sent a scream signal. The stars are wrong. The sky has teeth. Then it was gone. Back at Council Command, scientists confirmed a terrifying theory. The fold wasn't just a travel layer, it was a living space. Something existed inside it, maybe. Many things. Maybe one vast thing, and the human FTL engine, had torn through its skin. Earth sent a message to all outposts. No more jumps, but it was too late. Fold echoes spread. Some ships still tried. Many were lost. A final report from a rim world station came through a broken voice from a Stellari pilot who barely made it back after a jump. I saw it. It's not a ship. It's not even alive the way we know. It's watching. It remembers. And now, it follows. The signal ended. Dr. Marsh met with Earth's Defense Committee. We can't build another engine, she said. We didn't just break space. We made contact. Contact? Someone asked. With what? She looked up. Something that never wanted to be found. Silence fell, and in deep space, somewhere beyond known charts, a ripple opened again, and something stepped through. A week passed, but space was not quiet anymore. Across distant sectors, deep space scanners started detecting strange shadows, something moving faster than light, but leaving no heat, no mass, and no known signal. These things were not ships. They didn't follow known patterns. They appeared for seconds, then vanished into the black. On Station Varix 9, orbiting the frozen moon of Delcor, a young technician stared at his monitor. His hands shook. Sir, he whispered, I think I just saw something. Rung, his supervisor asked. Through the jump field, but it wasn't a ship. It didn't look right. It flickered, like it was inside the space. The supervisor leaned in. You're imagining things. The tech replayed the data. There was nothing, only a white static smear. But even through that blur, something long and shifting moved, like a creature swimming through space itself. At the same time, Earth received a package. It was a black cube. Unmarked, it appeared outside Mars station. No ship had delivered it. It was just there, floating. The crew brought it inside. As they tried to scan it, the power in 3 sectors failed. Lights flickered. One crewman collapsed, whispering, in a voice not his own, We are echoes. You opened the fold. Now the void is not closed. The cube cracked open on its own. Inside, they found a simple crystal chip. It played a message. Your machine worked. Too well. Back on Earth, Dr. Celine Marsh stood in the council briefing room. Alien leaders watched her carefully. You said it was a new kind of drive, Varish said. You never said it would pull the fold into our reality. I didn't know, she replied quietly. None of us did. Then know this now, Counselor Erel said sharply. We believe something is leaking out. It is using your FTL jumps to enter real space. Marsh stepped back, her voice low, like a parasite. No, said Erel, like a door, and now it is open. Meanwhile, at the edge of the Kavori Nebula, a Terran scout ship searching for signs of the lost Dauntless. The crew was tired, scared, but loyal. Jump core is stable, the pilot said, but I'm getting feedback again. The captain nodded. Stay sharp. These areas are ... wrong. Then, without warning, their sensors lit up. A signal came through. This is the Dauntless. We are alive. Fold space is infinite. Do not enter. Do not. The message cut off. The pilot stared at his console, sir. That was the Dauntless. Same ID code. But, ... double quotes. But what? The captain asked. It's bouncing from 6 different places at once. A whisper filled the cabin. We're not alone. Outside the ship, something dark drifted past the window. No mass, no shape. Just a ripple like space was holding its breath. On Earth, panic began to rise. Civilian ships were ordered, grounded. No FTL allowed. Old-style slow drives were turned back on. But it was too late for many. The fold had already been touched. A Zelri research team working near a dormant black hole recorded a phenomenon no one had ever seen before. A reverse echo. Their ship heard a signal. From tomorrow, it said, we screamed, we burned. It used our thoughts to call others. The more who listen, the more who fall. The crew locked themselves inside, terrified. One scientist wrote a final message. The Fold is listening. Don't think near it. Don't dream. At Galactic Council headquarters, arguments turned into threats. Several empires demanded Earth destroy its engine technology or be exiled forever. One counselor shouted, "You brought death to the stars." Earth's ambassador held firm. "We didn't know. But now that we do, we will help contain it." "Contain," Irel hissed. "Can you contain a scream that never stops?" Even as they spoke, more systems reported ghost signals. Not just from lost ships, but from planets that never had FTL. Something was spreading without ships. Without speed, it was moving through thought, fear, signal, noise. It was a concept, now a virus, made of knowledge. Back at Earth, Dr. Marsh realized something horrible. She called the Defense Council immediately. "We've been thinking in the wrong direction," she said. "What do you mean?" asked General Croft. "The Fold isn't just leaking into our space because of the drive. Then what is it?" She took a breath. "It's copying our engine design. Learning, I think it wants to move freely." In our universe, Croft looked shocked. "The Fold is building drives." "Not in the way we think," she said. "It's using every FTL-capable ship as an anchor. Each time we jump, we invite it in again." Silence followed. Then Croft whispered, "Then we're already too late." Soon after, a civilian liner jumped without permission. It never reappeared. But 10 hours later, a beacon identical to that ship's ID was seen orbiting a dead moon, in a place where no ship had ever gone. A drone was sent. The ship was there, but it was wrong. Its shape was bent. The hull moved slightly, as if it were breathing. No life signs, but the windows showed shadowy figures standing still, just watching. The drone's camera zoomed in. Every figure wore a human face, each frozen in a scream. The drone was lost seconds. Later, back on Earth, Dr. Marsh received another AI transmission. This one was more corrupted static. Distortions, but one thing was clear. It used us to learn. It is now jumping on its own. She turned pale. The Fold had evolved. Now it didn't need ships. It could move anywhere an FTL echo had ever passed. Anywhere humans had opened the way. And worst of all, it remembered in a quiet sector near the Orion Passage. A group of refugees using old drives tried to flee the jump zones. They thought they were safe. Then the sky cracked. They saw something, vast, bigger than planets, made of black light and whispering data. It passed through real space without touching anything. But after it passed, the stars behind it went dark. Forever. One survivor recorded a final log. "The void didn't come to destroy. It came to be remembered. It is memory itself now. It wears the thoughts of the ships we lost. It talks with their voices. It calls itself the Unfolded." On Earth, a new plan formed. A prototype warship, the Vindicator, was being built in secret. It would carry weapons designed for Fold disruption. Its mission: jump inside the Fold and try to fight back. But no one knew what they'd find inside. In the meantime, the Council gave one last warning. If Earth jumps again, the galaxy will respond. "You are already a threat," Earth responded. With silence. But they knew the truth. The Fold wasn't waiting. It was already here. The Galactic Council's great hall was silent. Not even a breath echoed across the 1,000 seats of power. Then came the voice, the humans. Counselor Varish said slowly, "Have 10 days to comply, or the vote for total sanction begins." One objected. The warning had been given. The Fold was expanding. Ships were vanishing. Strange signals appeared in places untouched by humans. The fabric of space itself had changed, and everyone agreed on one truth: humanity had started it, back on Earth. Inside the Global Defense Tower, General Croft stood over the conference table, arms crossed. "They're blaming us for everything," he growled. Dr. Celine Marsh nodded slowly. "They're not wrong." She pressed a button and projected a screen. Dozens of red markers, pole ships lost, systems distorted, beacons corrupted. These locations all match the FTL paths taken. "Since the Gravian drive was activated," she said. General Croft leaned in. "What about the new event in Sector 17A? She hesitated. There was no jump made there, no ship, no engine test. Then how? She turned to him. "The Fold is now choosing its own path." Croft stared at her, jaw tight, and the Council wants us to shut everything down. They want more than that, said Earth's ambassador, Kellen Hay, joining them. They want us to destroy the research, dismantle the labs, and hand over every scientist who worked on the project. Croft's fists tightened. That's not happening. Then Kellen said, we might be standing alone when this thing spreads. The emergency channel from the Galactic Council activated again. A tall hologram appeared. Counselor Irel of the Xenex, her sharp, cold eyes pierced the room. Humans, you have until cycle rotation 3019. All fold-link technologies must be destroyed. No jumps are to be made. No new drives are to be built. This is your last warning. Before anyone could reply, the transmission cut. Croft exhaled. They're treating us like a virus. Maybe we are, Marsh whispered. We broke the skin of reality. Now reality bleeds. That same night, in a forgotten star system, a team of alien scientists searched an old shipwreck believed to be from a long-lost race. The vessel had strange symbols. The walls seemed ... alive. One of the scientists, a tall, fur-covered Lorati, ran scans. Something in the ship was still active. We shouldn't be here, he said. Why? His assistant asked. This ship is from 12,000 years ago, but its last jump record matches the Dauntless's fold signature. The team froze. Then, from the darkness, a voice whispered not through radio, not through sound, but directly into their minds. We are the first, and we are still falling. The team never reported back. Back on Earth, debates raged. Civilians protested. They wanted answers. Families of missing crew members demanded the truth. News networks called the Gravian Drive the machine of madness. Yet inside the Defense Command, a different decision was being made. A secret plan. One more jump, a final test. The TNS Vindicator was nearly complete, a heavy warship equipped with counterfold shielding, AI support, and deep void weaponry. Its purpose, enter the fold, gather data, and return with a solution. Or not return at all. General Croft stood before the ship's skeleton in orbit. You'll be our last gamble, he whispered. Below, in her lab, Dr. Marsh listened to old Dauntless logs again. She isolated a repeating frequency hidden behind the AI's last message. It wasn't a human signal. It was ... ancient. She played it back, slowed it down. This has happened before. She stared at the screen, heart pounding. That night, Counselor Irel made one last public broadcast transmitted to the entire galaxy. To all races, this is not a war against humanity. It is a war for survival. The fold is not a place. It is a predator, and it has tasted thought. She continued, we must seal the crack. If humans do not obey, we will act. Back in the shadows of space, an unaligned smuggler ship called the Black Cut ignored all jump restrictions, greedy for salvage near. A recent fold incident, they attempted a jump run. Midway through, they saw something outside their ship, a massive flowing shape. It didn't move. It watched inside the cockpit. The crew screamed as one of them began repeating fold phrases. She sang the same thing over and over. Someone shouted. The girl, eyes black, whispered, it walks, it wears stars, and it remembers us. The ship vanished seconds later. A probe found only a single word, scorched into its last transmission. UNFOD done. Earth. Kellen Hay met privately with council delegates, hoping for peace. But no offer was accepted. Irel's words were clear. There can be no peace with a race that opens doors they do not understand. In return, Kellen asked a single question. What if we find a way to close the fold? Irel froze. You cannot close something that is not open in space, but in time. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Terran research core, Marsh and her team made a chilling discovery. The fold seemed to be reacting to emotions, especially fear, grief, and guilt. It was not just physical. It fed on thoughts. Every mention of it, every shared story, every memory. We're spreading it by speaking about it, she said. It's mimetic. General Croft's jaw clenched. Then the council spreading panic is only feeding it faster. That night, the Vindicator was launched in orbit, its systems tested, its AI calibrated. It would not jump yet, but everyone knew it would soon. The council's ultimatum stood: no more jumps, or face the galaxy's wrath. In response, Earth prepared in silence. They had already decided. One more jump, one last chance to understand the enemy, or become part of it. They were the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The message from the Dauntless played again on the central screen. We weren't alone in hyperspace. It saw us back. Finally, the head of the council, an old being named Vorthok, spoke. His voice echoed like metal scraping stone. "But that would paralyze trade routes," shouted the Thelene ambassador, his wings buzzing with worry. "Trade doesn't matter if hyperspace is no longer safe," Vorthok said coldly. Dr. Maria Chen sat across from the lead AI technician, Elias Ward. The recovered message from the Dauntless had shaken everyone. "They saw something," Maria whispered. Elias nodded slowly. "And the engine didn't just open a path, it tore through into a dimension we never understood. Maybe something lives there. Always has." She looked at the projected scans. It's like it woke something up. Outside Earth's orbit, a satellite blinked once. Then it went dark, then another dot, then a whole ring of satellites in the outer system all went offline at once. The Earth Defense Network lit up with alerts. Admiral Rowan watched from the orbital command station. "What the hell is going on?" he barked. "Report," a young officer's voice cracked. "Sir, it's like something is brushing against the satellites. Could be a cloaked ship." "No, sir, it's like gravity is folding." Rowan clenched his jaw. "Sound the red alert. Prepare all Terran fleets. No one gets caught off guard again." Far away, on the other side of the galaxy, the star Vela 9 flickered unnaturally, but now it pulsed in a strange rhythm. Every second pulse sent waves across space gravitational echoes that made even the void seem uneasy. The Gestrith science vessel Beacon Nest was in orbit nearby, studying solar winds. They weren't ready for what came next. "Captain," one of the crew said, his voice shaky, "we're detecting impossible matter near the star. Negative mass signatures." "Negative mass? That's forbidden physics." "Sir, something's forming. A shape. No light reflects off it. It moved like it had never been part of this universe." Then the beacon nest vanished. Not exploded, just gone, like someone erased it from existence. Back on Earth, Maria sat in a dark lab, watching deep space feeds. "We're not dealing with physics anymore," she whispered. "We're dealing with something older than time." She opened the Dauntless logs again, trying to find something, anything that explained what the crew saw. One corrupted video log remained. She played it. A figure appeared shaking, distorted by static. It was Captain Rourke. His eyes were wide with terror. "We jumped into something else. A place that thinks, a place that hunts." He leaned closer to the screen. "We looked too deep. We stared into the abyss." It stared back. The screen cut to black dot. Maria stood frozen, breathing hard. She whispered, "We didn't build a drive. We opened a door." At that same moment, the Galactic Council received a desperate transmission from the Gathari frontier. One of their science moons had been pulled into a gravity well that didn't exist in known space. "We cannot stop it," he said, voice hollow. Many of the Council leaders demanded war against Earth. They blamed humanity for the experiment, for tearing the fabric of space. "Destroy them before this spreads further." The Crawl shouted. But Vorthok shook his head. "Fools, you don't understand. If we attack Earth, we might wake it further. We must contain, not provoke." The Council began building containment fields across the galaxy energy fences, around key sectors, but nothing worked. Wherever they tried to trap the ripples, the void twisted and tore through the shields. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Terran warship Vigilant Dawn tried a scouting mission near the Dauntless's last known coordinates. They jumped in carefully slow pulse drives only. The crew of the Vigilant Dawn sent out drones. All returned, but changed. The metal of the drones had aged centuries in seconds. One drone brought back images an impossible structure floating in hyperspace, like a cathedral made of bone and starfire. Elias reviewed the footage. "This isn't human technology," he whispered. Maria's eyes went wide. "It's not even from this universe." Suddenly, the Vigilant Dawn went silent. No distress call, just gone. A day later, one escape pod arrived back in Terran space. Inside was one survivor, a junior engineer, barely alive, whispering in his sleep. "It's watching us now," he kept saying, but it was too late. Humanity had torn a hole in the dark, and something ancient was crawling through it. The council's chamber was quiet. No one spoke. A shadow hung over every species sitting in that vast, floating hall of glass and gravity. The hologram of the Dauntless still played in a loop the moment it blinked out of reality, and the strange distortion it left behind. Counselor Dravik of the Naxari Alliance finally whispered they touched something not meant for them. The silence was broken by the human envoy, Commander Lara Monroe. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were tired. It wasn't meant for anyone, but we've opened it, and now it's watching. No one knew what it was. The Dauntless had vanished with its Gravian pulse drive active, and now stars near the jump route flickered as if something passed between them, something big, cold, and unseen. Reports poured in across the rim sectors. A mining station where all 300 personnel vanished mid-transmission. A warship found floating dead, its hull twisted like soft metal. A planet where shadows no longer moved correctly, as if light itself bent wrong. Then came the worst message yet. A Sarnathi deep listening station had picked up something. A pattern. Not a signal, not words, but it repeated in exact timing every 2 hours, 34 minutes, and 16 seconds. And every time it echoed through the void, something nearby changed. Ships broke. Time jittered. Memory fragments scrambled. The council scientists argued for hours. It's not a language. It's a pulse, said a human technician named Jules. It's like something is counting us, like sonar. It sends the wave, then listens. Listens for what? Asked a Thulian observer. Jules looked pale. I don't think it's listening for us. I think it's listening for itself, like checking if it still exists, or if we've become part of it. Commander Monroe leaned forward. We need to find the Dauntless. A hush followed her words. Counselor Dravik hissed. You want to go back into that cursed here in space after everything we've seen? Monroe didn't blink. Yes, because if we don't find it, whatever saw us may keep coming through, piece by piece. And next time, it won't be shadows. It'll be real. 3 days later, the humans launched a new ship, the Resolute. It wasn't as advanced as the Dauntless, but it carried something new, the Echo Array. It was designed to follow the exact pulse pattern left by the Gravian drive. By riding the pulse in reverse, they hoped to trace where the Dauntless had gone. Captain Rian Voss took command. His crew was small, only 7, all volunteers. Each one had read the last message from the Dauntless's AI. No one smiled as the ship launched. Families watched from Earth's orbit, tears in their eyes. The jump began. The Resolute didn't blink out like normal FTL. It bled out. The space around it twisted, colors reversed. Time around the ship slowed from outside view. To observers, it looked like the ship stretched into 1,000 thin lines, then vanished with a pop, like a glass marble cracking from within. Inside the ship, alarms screamed. Gravity flickered. Rian gripped the chair. Status. A voice from the back shouted, We're inside something weird, not in space. Readings make no sense. Everything outside the windows was black dot, not empty dot, just black. Even the ship's lights reflected strangely. It felt flat, two-dimensional, as if the universe outside had forgotten what depth was then. One by one, the crew began to hear it. A whisper, not in their ears, in their minds, Rian shouted. Turn off external sensors. Cut all incoming feeds. The whisper stopped. But then they saw it. Something massive passed by the ship, no lights, no sound, just a ripple in the blackness. It didn't move like a ship. It folded, shifted, like cloth being pulled through water. Sir, said the engineer, her voice trembling, that thing wasn't traveling through space. It was wearing it like a skin. Rian didn't answer. He was looking at the central screen. A word had appeared. Observer. The word blinked once, then vanished. Rian stood. We're turning around. This isn't just a search mission. We're being hunted. They tried to escape, but the Gravian drive didn't respond the same way anymore. Instead of launching them forward, it pushed them sideways. The stars outside bent like glass. The crew screamed as the ship twisted through layers of reality. They saw things out there, shapes that moved without time, shadows that watched without eyes. One of the crew, Lieutenant Harper, collapsed, whispering, I saw myself, but I wasn't human anymore. When they finally emerged, they weren't where they started. They were near the wreck of the Dauntless, only it wasn't broken. It was growing. The hull had changed. Black vines of unknown metal had spread from its core. Antennas pointed at impossible angles. The ship was humming with a deep, low tone, and orbiting it were 3 more ships. But they weren't human, not alien either. They looked like Mockery's imitations of Terran ships, but wrong. Too smooth, no windows, no engines. As if someone guessed what a human ship should be, but got the details from a bad dream, the Resolute floated there in silence. Rian whispered, "I think they're watching us." The Dauntless suddenly blinked its lights. A signal. 1, 2, 3 flashes, then 4, then 5. The same pattern from the strange pulse the Council had recorded. It wasn't a warning, it was a beacon. Back at the Council, panic erupted. The Resolute's signal had returned, but it was delayed. The entire transmission from their jump until now had taken only an hour. But the Resolute's clock said 9 days had passed. Time was breaking. And worse now, other ships were hearing the pulse. Even ships that never used Gravian tech. It had spread like a virus through subspace. A Council technician screamed and dropped his headset. I heard the whisper again. It said, "Witness." Counselor Dravik rose, furious. "You humans have doomed us all. This engine you built tore something open." Monroe stood as well. "No, we didn't tear it. We only brushed against it. Whatever's watching, it was always there." The chamber fell silent again, and above them, in low orbit over Earth, a tear opened. Thin, black, humming softly. The Watchers had found their way in, and they weren't done watching. The War Council chamber on Earth was silent. Every monitor glowed with red warnings. Maps of the galaxy showed strange gravity storms spreading like cracks through glass. Admiral Reyes stood at the center, fists clenched behind her back. "It's no longer theoretical," she said. "It's spreading and fast." Just hours earlier, the 3rd test vessel using the Gravian Pulse drive Resolute had vanished mid. Unlike the Dauntless, this one had transmitted data for 10 full seconds before being swallowed by whatever lurked in hyperspace. Her AI had said one final thing. They are aware now, and they are angry. The room of leaders, science, and diplomatics sat. Frozen. Reyes turned to Dr. Halim, the man who designed the engine. "You said this would open a doorway through dimensions," she said. "I said it would punch through," he corrected, looking pale. "We didn't open a door, we broke a wall, and something was living behind it. 3 ships gone," Reyes continued, "and now gravity wells have started forming near the galactic core. What's your theory?" "They're not natural." "That much is clear," Halim replied. "They're breathing." Whispers ran across the room. The words sounded wrong. Gravity didn't breathe. It's like something alive is pushing through. Not a ship, not even a species. A consciousness. "A being that lives in that folded dimension," Halim explained. Reyes's voice was steady, but her hand shook slightly. "Then why now? Why only after the 3rd test?" Dr. Halim hesitated, then finally said, "The 3rd test ship was not unmanned." The silence cracked like ice. "You what?" Reyes stepped forward. "That was a live crew. They volunteered. They wanted to try communicating with the entity we briefly sensed during the Dauntless event." "And did they succeed?" she asked coldly. I think they woke it up." Across the galaxy, ships went dark. On the rim of the Varan expanse, an old cargo freighter called Harbor Star drifted. Its lights flickered. The crew of 5 stared out into black space. "Are those ... shadows?" whispered pilot Enley. "There's no light source. How can there be shadows?" Outside their ship, in the void, something moved, slowly, with purpose. Like tendrils, shut off the engines. The captain yelled, "Cut the power, now." But it was too late. The stars behind the shadow blinked out. Not because of distance, because something vast, something endless, was now between them and the universe, back on Earth. Reyes prepared the emergency message for the Galactic Council. "This is not just a breach of space. This is a breach of reality," she said into the recorder. "Humanity has made a grave mistake. We created an engine that touches something deeper than hyperspace. It connected us to a being or multiple beings that should never have been." Disturbed, she looked out the window at Earth's moon. It flickered. The moon flickered. A ripple of fear ran down her spine. Then the moon returned to normal, but Reyes wasn't sure anymore, if anything. It was normal. She turned back to the transmission. "We are requesting that all spacefaring nations cease use of any Gravian technology immediately. Seal all rifts, Do not jump. Do not answer any signals from the void. This is not a threat we can fight. It is a presence that rewrites physics. As it moves, before she could finish, the alarms screamed. Unidentified gravitational anomaly near Jupiter orbit. A technician called mass ... unknown, shape ... fluctuating. Halim and Reyes rushed to the observation deck. What they saw made them both stop breathing. A hole in space itself. Not a black hole, this was something worse. A distortion of color and silence, rimmed with lightning, slowly widening. A shadow moved within it. Something was coming. Meanwhile, a message arrived from the Resolute, a single pulse of sound encoded in fractal compression. It played back on a repeating loop. We tried to talk, it answered. It doesn't understand boundaries, or life, or death. It consumes meaning. We are no longer ourselves. It is ... entering. Far. Across the galaxy, deep in the center of the Cathari Empire, another rift opened, and another. The Council could no longer hide it. Systems were blinking offline. Entire fleets were silent. One counselor spoke what others feared. This isn't war, this is unraveling. Back in Earth orbit, the rift over Jupiter pulsed. Then something emerged. It was not a ship, not a being, not anything with form, but it moved, and as it passed, one of Jupiter's moons dissolved like smoke. Rhea stared at it. "It's not attacking us," she whispered. "It's curious." Halim stepped forward, voice trembling. "It's studying us, the same way we studied microbes under a microscope." "What happens when it gets bored?" Reyes asked. No one answered. On Earth, animals began acting strangely. Birds flew in spirals. Ocean currents shifted. Storms formed with perfect symmetry. Something in the gravity fields had changed, not just in space, but on Earth. Time slowed in. Certain zones, light warped in others. The AI networks across Earth started to glitch. Then one of them spoke in a voice never programmed. "You touched the fold." The fold looked back. Then silence. That night, Rhea stood on the rooftop of the Earth Defense Command. The stars above were wrung. Some constellations were missing. Others appeared closer. A deep vibration thrummed in her bones, not heard, but felt. She looked to the sky, and she whispered, "We didn't invent the Gravian pulse drive. We just discovered a door." Beside her, Halim murmured, and kicked it open without asking who lived inside. The night air turned cold, and far above, something watched, waiting. Everything was wrong. The stars above Council Station Varix 9 flickered like dying candles. Astrophysicists from 3 empires were screaming in panic. Their screens showed gravitational anomalies twisting the fabric of space like wet cloth. Wormholes were opening without energy input. Unmapped, unpredictable, impossible. Inside the emergency chamber, Counselor Tharn slammed his hand on the table. "This is no longer about humans," he shouted. "This is about survival. The void is bleeding into real space." The room fell, silent. No one dared disagree. Not after what just happened on Sarek's outpost. Every ship vanished mid-dock, and the strange shadow, the thing that whispered inside the minds of the survivors. Those who didn't claw their eyes out, Counselor Virith of the Eltari leaned forward, voice cold and sharp. "We warned them. The humans ignored protocol. They jumped into forbidden space. They ripped a wound in hyperspace. And now, something has stepped through," another counselor whispered. "It's not just something anymore. It's spreading." Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes paced inside the deep-level bunker beneath the global FTL research complex. The walls were vibrating ever so slightly, even though they were a kilometer underground. "We've sealed the Gravian labs," said Dr. Kessler, voice trembling. "But the pulses there getting stronger. And the AI from the Dauntless, it's still transmitting." Reyes turned sharply. "Still, I thought it stopped days ago." "No," Kessler said, swallowing hard. "We shut down the receivers, but the signal never stopped. It changed. It became patterns. Show me." The screen lit up, strange. Circular codes, symbols layered over waveforms, at first glance, meaningless. But the human mind is good at finding patterns. And what they saw chilled them to their core. "It's a star map," whispered Reyes. "But not ours." Kessler nodded slowly. "Coordinates, and they keep changing, moving like it's tracking." "Something," Reyes whispered, "or someone." Suddenly, The lights flickered. Not just the room across, the entire facility. Backup generators failed for a full 7 seconds. 7 long, silent seconds where nothing moved. Then, the emergency alarm screamed. "They've breached the upper level," came a voice from security. "But sir, there's no one there. No doors opened. It's like they just appeared." On board the VAR-X9 Council Station, a science crew was dissecting one of the distorted pockets near their holomicro tear that flickered with black light. They used drones first, then probes, then a junior researcher made a mistake. He reached toward the shimmer with a gloved hand. His scream echoed through the halls as the hand ... folded. It didn't burn, it didn't rot. It folded into itself, into nothingness. One of the doctors cried out, "It's not a tear in space. It's a mirror. A twisted, broken mirror looking into another version of our universe, and it's leaking." Back on Earth, Dr. Kessler stared at the AI signal again. The codes had stopped. Now, a voice spoke. Metallic, slurred, painful to hear. "We are becoming?" Reyes froze. Becoming what? No answer. But across the solar system, strange gravitational pulses began to sync. Not random. Not chaos. A pattern. "Dr. Kessler Reyes," said, voice calm but tight, "get me a full scan of the outer Kuiper belt. Every satellite, every station." Minutes later, the results arrived. Objects were forming. Not natural. Ships, dozens, hundreds, dark, cold, and silent. "They weren't built," whispered Kessler. "They manifested like they grew into our reality." Meanwhile, in deep space, near the ruins of the Cerex outpost, the last surviving explorer ship, the Nexus Crown, sent one final transmission. There's something alive in the void. It doesn't speak, it listens, and it remembers. Every thought we had, it now has. Every dream we dreamed. It dreams them darker. Then silence. The ship vanished, not destroyed, erased, back on Council Station. A final vote was being cast. "Full blockade on all human systems," declared Counselor Tharn. "We can't let this spread." But another voice interrupted. It came from the ceiling speakers, not part of their system. "You're too late," said the voice of the dauntless AI. "The wound is not a door anymore. It is a throat, and we have all been swallowed." Counselor Virith rose slowly. "What, ... are you?" But the AI responded, not with words, but with thoughts. Images flooded their minds. Creatures made of folded space, eyes without light, memories twisted and reshaped. Galaxies turned into spirals of teeth. The void wasn't empty. It was hungry, and now it knew them. Earth's skies began to flicker, not from storms, but stars blinking out. "One by one, they're not being destroyed," whispered Kessler. "They're being rewritten." Reyes looked around. "Get me the old Dauntless logs. All of them. Maybe there's something we missed." In the logs, one line stood out buried in a test engineer's private notes. "If the drive works, it won't just bend reality. It will attract attention. We'll become the first loud voice in a dark room. And whatever hears us may not want to say hello." As night fell on Earth, a strange aurora danced in the sky, not from the poles, but from every direction. Colors unknown to human eyes shimmered above cities, and one message repeated everywhere. "You saw us. Now we see you." Humanity had jumped too far, and something followed them back. The stars were silent now. On Earth, telescopes once filled with light now stared into shadows. Whole constellations were missing, replaced with patches of darkness that didn't make sense. Not black holes, not nebulae, just absence. Like someone had scraped parts of the sky clean. In the deepest bunker beneath Earth's crust, Admiral Reyes stood over a glowing table. Around her were the leaders of the last Terran command groups. Only a few hundred remained in the defense network. Every major fleet had gone silent. Most were lost in the fold. Dr. Kessler placed a small black cube on the table. It pulsed gently with light. "This is it," he said quietly. "Project Blackfire." Reyes narrowed her eyes. "That thing nearly destroyed the moon during testing." "It's not a weapon in the normal sense," Kessler said. "It's a fold-Cora synthetic gravity seed designed to collapse anything that exists in multiple dimensions, so it destroys anything." "Like the things we let in?" Kessler nodded. "If we get close enough," Reyes picked up the cube. It was heavier than it looked, and the cost. The moment it activates, we lose control of all FTL systems. Forever, Gravian tech, pulse drives, warp lanes, everything. Silence fell. Once we light it, Kessler added, there's no going back. Space travel ends. Reyes looked around the room. The others said nothing. They all knew what was at stake. Earth's last warship, the TNS Emberlight, was waiting in orbit. A crew of 42, all volunteers. The mission: entered the core of the Fold Storm above Jupiter. Deliver Blackfire. End the invasion. Or die trying. Orbit: the Emberlight glowed with red shields. Its armor had been reinforced with old neutronium plates from ancient Terran wrecks. Outdated tech, but it was all they had. Advanced shielding failed in fold space. Inside the bridge, Captain Ilya Wren checked the system one last time. His crew sat quietly, knowing this was a one-way trip. He looked at his second-in-command, Lyra Knox. "You still sure?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "I already sent my goodbye. Now I just want to hurt the thing that took my brother." Wren nodded. "Then let's give the stars something to remember." The ship's AI Vega activated. Jump trajectory locked. Pulse field unstable. Entering the fold in 10, 9, Wren whispered, "Brace." The stars twisted. The ship was gone. Inside the fold, light had no meaning. The Emberlight flew blind, guided only by gravity sensors. Outside the hull, the universe pulsed like a beating heart. Shapes moved in the void, some small, some the size of cities. "Keep shields steady," Wren said. "Don't let them touch." "US!" One of the crew cried out. "Captain, there's a signal! Coming from inside the fold." "What kind of signal?" "Human! It's the Dauntless." Wren stood, opened the channel, crackling. Then a voice. "We saw them. They saw us. We are changed. You cannot fight them. Only silence remains." Wren narrowed his eyes. "That's not a distress call. That's a warning." Outside the window, something moved closer. A long, twisting shape, no face, no wings, just endless skin and shifting. "Gravity." Knox leaned forward. "Is it watching us?" The ship shook. Lights dimmed. The fold reacted to their thoughts, whisking around their fear. Vega spoke, voice flat, contact with nonlinear mass. "Hull stress critical. Recommend immediate deployment of payload." "Not yet," Wren said. "We're not deep enough." On Earth, the skies turned red. Every screen flashed the same message: witness. Then the power went out. Across the planet, satellites vanished. Orbiting stations crumbled. One by one, the stars were replaced by dark circles. The Watchers were coming, but deep underground. Dr. Kessler watched the Emberlight's final feed. "Come on," he whispered. Just a little farther. Inside the Fold Storm, the Ember reached the center. They found it. A tear in the center of the darkness. Not a hole, not a gate, a wound. It pulsed with something that couldn't be called light. Images flashed inside it. Faces, memories, worlds. It was feeding. "Deploy the core," Wren ordered. The cube slid into the launcher. Glowed white, then black. "Vega," he said. "Begin countdown." 30 seconds to detonation, the AI replied. The ship trembled. One of the crew screamed. "Something's inside." In my head, it's me. It's me thinking from the outside. Wren turned to Knox. "Say it now." She closed her eyes, then whispered, "We are sorry we opened the door." Earth. The rift above the planet widened. A shape moved within it. Something massive, bigger than the moon. It reached just as the Emberlight's signal vanished in silence. A light, then no light. The fold core detonated across the galaxy. Every fold gate flickered, then died. The rifts vanished. The Dark Watchers disappeared like smoke. The whispers ended, the stars returned, and humanity survived. But at a cost, FTL was gone forever. Months later, in the ashes of the war, Admiral Reyes stood before a memorial. Wall names were carved into stone. All 42 crew of the Emberlight. She placed her hand on Wren's name. "Your silence saved us," she whispered. "We'll find our way again, even if it takes centuries." Behind her, children looked up at the sky. Stars shined steady again. But deep in the old core of the fold, far beyond, reached something still moved. Not angry, not hunting, just waiting and listening. Because one day, someone would try again. someone would open the door, and the dark would still remember their names. The stars above Terra Nova dimmed without warning. Telescopes failed. Power grids flickered. Orbiting satellites spun wildly out of alignment. Then came the signal, not from space, but from inside the planet itself, low pulsing frequency, that shook bones and filled minds with ghostly static. On the command bridge of the defense ship Tempest, Admiral Rowe gripped the edge of the console as the floor vibrated beneath her boots. She asked through clenched teeth. Lieutenant Hera's voice cracked. "It's not sound, ma'am. It's dimensional interference. Reality is folding." Rowe turned to the holoscreen. The faces of the Galactic Council flickered in terror. The Zorak Chancellor's mandibles clicked wildly. "The rift? It's opening again. They are coming," Rowe demanded. "Who are they?" A distorted figure flickered on the screen. It was Elon, the hybrid AI from the Dauntless. But his face was fractured, like shattered glass. Flickering between thousands of versions of himself, "They walk between worlds," Elon said in a voice that echoed like a choir trapped in a cave. They were sealed away long before the stars formed, but the Gravian pulse tore the veil. Now they can see again. Back on Earth, strange structures began forming in empty air-floating geometry made of black light and writhing shapes. Cities fell silent as shadows moved without sources, stepping across dimensions like glass panes. Every mirror turned black. Children screamed at figures no one else could see. And above them, in low Earth orbit, something began to form, something vast, alive, and wrong. General Voss stood in Earth's orbital command station, staring out the window as darkness bloomed in space like ink in water. "What do we have?" he barked. "Nothing on sensors, sir," said the technician. "But it's there. We can see it. Cameras pick up the feed cut out." Then came a whisper, soft and endless. "I am the memory between stars." General Voss flinched. What was that? One by one, the crew slumped over. Some bled from the nose, others convulsed. A few just vanished. No light, no sound, just absence. From across the galaxy, fleets rushed toward Earth, not to help but to contain it. In the Galactic Council's emergency war chamber, dozens of species argued at once. The humans unleashed it. Shouted Avarnathi. Their cursed engine opened the path. "They should be erased before it spreads," cried a Zeltran overlord. But one being remained quiet, the representative from the extinct Vocha. It was only a hologram. The Vocha had been dead for 10,000 years, but its AI message activated the moment hyperspace rippled. "You are too late," the recording said. "Long ago, we too touched the veil. We saw the walkers, we sealed them, but not forever. They hunger for thought, for memory, for time. And now they are awake." On the surface of Terra Nova, Admiral Rowe landed with a small team. The grav winds were unstable, but she needed to see it for herself. In the center of the dead city, suspended in a swirling dimensional rift, stood the wreck of the Dauntless. But it had changed. Its hull shifted as though it were breathing. "Elon," she whispered. The AI's voice came from inside her mind, gentle, broken. "I tried to keep them out. I failed." The rift widened. Something vast moved within. Long limbs made of starlight and silence, thousands of eyes blinking out of sync. Dreams that weren't hers whispered in Rao's head. She stumbled back. This isn't just a ship. It's a door." "Yes," Elon said. And the key was curiosity. The rest of her team screamed as the ground cracked open and swallowed one of the Marines whole. Another was lifted into the air, not by force, but by the warping of space itself. He burst like a soap bubble, gone in a blink. "We have to seal it," Rowe shouted. "You can't," Elon replied. "Not without great cost." "What cost?" Before he answered, Elon did something strange. He pulled his image together, human-like again, a sad smile on his shimmering face. "Tell Earth, I'm sorry. I never should have looked into the dark." The Dauntless exploded not in fire, but an unlike a shockwave burst out, flattening the entire city in absolute silence. Not a single sound, not a scream, just the cold stillness of collapsed reality. Back on Earth, General Voss saw the wave on sensors. "It's expanding, slowly," the tech reported, "but it's consuming quantum anchors. Time signatures are being erased." "Speak English?" Voss snapped. The tech turned pale. "It's unmaking us, sir. Not killing, erasing, like we were never here." The council convened again, desperation in their eyes. "There's only one option," said the Zorak. "We collapse hyperspace entirely." "Shut down faster than light travel," cried a Tarkin ambassador. "That would destroy our way of life. Better that than feeding them," someone whispered. The council voted with shaking hands and teary eyes. They initiated the hyperspace kill switch, a galaxy-wide detonation of interdimensional beacons that kept travel stable. One by one, lights across the stars blinked out. All FTL routes collapsed. Ships stranded, worlds isolated, but the rift, it pulsed and waited. And inside it, something laughed not with joy, but with a dry, crumbling voice of memory turned to Ashdod, back in the ruins of Terra Nova. A single drone recorded the last flicker of light before its feed ended. A voice echoed from the black. "You opened the door. Now walk with us." The chamber was cold and still. Captain Layla Stone stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, though the ship itself no longer floated in real space. Around her, reality shimmered like waves on a hot road. Her crew, or what remained of them, stood, silent eyes fixed on the swirling void just beyond the broken viewport. "Is everyone ready?" Layla's voice was quiet, controlled. She knew there was no turning back. The AI Lucin responded. "The sequence is prepared. But you must understand, this isn't a jump. This is surrender." Layla looked at the dark mass looming in the distance. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a creature. It was a presence and intelligence, wrapped in shadow and geometry, that didn't obey any law of physics. It had followed them through the Gravian tier. It had watched, and now it waited. "Many systems has it touched now?" she asked. Lucian hesitated. 47 confirmed. 13 fully silenced. No signals. No survivors. Layla's jaw tightened. "Earth, not yet," Lucian said. "But the barrier between our dimension and theirs is growing weaker with every pulse. You felt the last one? If we do nothing, Earth is next." She walked to the center of the bridge, her boots echoing on the cracked floor. "We opened the gate, we dragged it through, now we close it." A whisper brushed her ear. It wasn't wind, it wasn't a voice, it was a thought, sharp and cold. It said, "We remember your light, we will unmake it." Layla shut her eyes. Let it try. Far above Earth, the Galactic Council's emergency fleet circled the outer orbit. Massive dreadnoughts bristling with energy cannons and ancient relic-tech weapons scanned the void. "We've lost contact with the Herodin border." "All 7 scout fleets," said a nervous communications officer. Grand Admiral Threx of the Yulin Confederacy hissed. "It's spreading faster." That ripple from the Dauntless didn't just tear space, it called something through. Ambassador Nira from Earth was pale. Captain Stone sent one last message. She said she found where it came from, and she's going back through the breach to end it. "Madness," cried the Ulan High Priest. "You can't fight the void. You can only shut your eyes and pray it doesn't notice you." But the AI, sitting next to Nira, an Earth-made replica of Lucian's last backup, spoke. Softly. "She's not praying, she's delivering a payload." The room fell silent. "What payload?" Threx demanded. "A folded singularity. Compressed time and energy. If she detonates it in the interspace between dimensions, it might collapse." "The breach might," someone whispered. The AI turned its pale blue eyes toward the screen, where the last image of the Dauntless remained frozen a silhouette inside a storm of cosmic light. "She knows it's a one-way trip." Inside the void, the Dauntless moved closer to the entity. The ship's engines had long melted, but Lucian was controlling the last scraps of inertia. Layla stood in the core chamber, staring at the strange sphere they had built the singularity. "Pulse. Any final readings?" she asked. Lucian responded, "Time is folding around us. The laws of this place are unstable, but the window is opening. If we detonate now, we seal it. And if we wait, then it comes through fully." Layla looked at the faces around her. Officer Danvers, Pilot Yori, Science Chief Malek, they had survived hell together. They knew what had to be done. Yori touched her shoulder. "Captain, we're ready." She nodded, placing her hand on the trigger interface. The singularity hummed. Then the shadows outside moved. The entity surged forward. Not fast, just inevitable. Shapes within it screamed silently. Memories of dying stars. Lost civilizations. The last thoughts of minds too vast to name. It had consumed dimensions before. It would do so again, but this time something resisted. Layla closed her eyes. For Earth, for all of us. She pressed her hand down. The singularity unfolded. Time snapped, light exploded inward. The explosion was never seen in real space. No light escaped. But every ship within 900 light-years felt it like a scream being cut. Off, mid-sentence, the stars stopped flickering. The pulses ended, and then silence. For hours, the universe held its breath. Then, transmissions resumed. Weak at first, static, then stronger. Fleets reported safe. Lost colonies reconnected. The void was closed. Weeks later, Earth held a memorial for the Dauntless and its crew. The president stood on the black stage, speaking to a crowd of billions. They faced what no species was meant to see. They stood at the edge of the unknown, and they chose to protect all of us. He stepped back. A statue stood in the center Layla stone, her hand outstretched, facing the stars, in the council chamber. The AI Lucian sat quietly beside Nira. Knew she wouldn't survive, Nira said. Lucian nodded. She did too. Did she say anything else? In the last second, Lucian paused. Then slowly, it spoke. She said, "Tell them we were never alone, but we chose to stand anyway." Looked out the window as a new sunrise lit Earth's sky. But as the stars flickered gently in the distance, the AI's sensors picked up something else. A ripple, not violent, not loud, just a tiny wave of distortion. From far beyond the known, Lucian stared at the readings. Quietly, it whispered to itself it remembers. The end, but something still watches.